Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. The people waiting, already 75 people on this stream. Thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. I can't thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. So if you enjoy these live streams, a super chat helps me do these streams, and I appreciate your support greatly. So if you want to give a super chat or talk about any topic related to the Durham probe or the stock market crash or so many, Elon Musk, Twitter, give me your thoughts. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I want to start off with the following. Page 12 of the Michael Sussman indictment. Okay. On or about the same date, Tech Executive 1 clarified in an email to Originator 1, Researcher 1, and Researcher 2 that the task he had given them was indeed broad and further stated in part. Now, this is linked to the classified data and all the other information that John Durham has. If you're watching this channel for the first time, please hit subscribe. And ladies and gentlemen, share this segment everywhere. We're almost at 200,000 subs, people. It's because we read from the actual indictments. This is Tech Executive 1 writing a message to researchers, and this is what he writes. Being able to provide evidence of anything. Being able to provide evidence of anything that shows an attempt to behave badly in relation to this, the VIPs would be happy. They're looking for a true story that could be used as the basis for closer examination. What does that mean? That is what they're trying to do is not inform the United States government of some nefarious plot by another country. What they're trying to do is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's right there. This is why, I read Lawfare and all these foreign policy publications, and a lot of these publications are, wondering why there's even a Durham probe. They haven't read the actual indictments. They haven't read the actual indictments. The actual indictments talk about these messages where people are actually conspiring with one another to find anything on Trump, anything they can. That is a deceitful, corrupt, and also illegal act. You cannot, ladies and gentlemen, simply try to find something on Trump, funnel that into the United States government, and on page 12, we'll read it again, being able to provide, so this is Tech Executive 1 who's being investigated. Everybody here, hello, by the way, Angela, David, Brenda, Eric, H526, everybody here, Vicky, hello. The Tipsy Gypsy, hello. Everybody here, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you. And everyone here, thank you so very much. Mikey, everybody here, thank you so much. So why is this important? This is important for the following reasons. You cannot have people conspiring to simply find anything that would make VIPs, which is the Clinton campaign and the DNC, happy. You can't just do that. And on page 13, because that is not a legitimate reason to investigate an incoming president. You can't just investigate an incoming president based on the absurd allegations of his direct political rivals when you have being able to provide evidence of anything that shows an attempt to behave badly in relation to this. The VIPs would be happy. That is not, we found a direct link between the Kremlin and Trump, and therefore we're going to notify the United States government and protect this country from interference. That's not what this is about. This is about find anything, something, anything that we can use against Trump. And it gets even worse because on page 13, as you can see, they're talking about how what they find will not be enough to pin anything on Trump. That's why you have the Durham Probe Special Counsel, because of classified data and this information showing the world showing the world that all they wanted to do was find anything that they could pin on Trump. It wasn't about national security. So the defense, Michael Sussman, Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, Christopher Steele, James Baker even, James Comey, everyone's defense is, look, we didn't know that, we had no idea that the information we were given by Fusion GPS or Glenn Simpson or Christopher Steele or Michael Sussman was false or fraudulent. We had no clue. And so we had to investigate. That's what Adam Schiff said. That's what Democrats said. Well, we have to just investigate the allegations. But there are endless allegations against Democrats that aren't investigated. Furthermore, you can't simply investigate suspicion. You have to actually have a predicate crime. There has to be some kind of crime. You can't just go ahead and say, oh, well, you know what? We have to appease very important people. We have to appease, and we have to find something derogatory on Trump that would appease the VIPs who are paying us. That's what these indictments are talking about. They're talking about a whole bunch of people conspiring to deceive the United States government. That's what they're talking about. It's a gigantic, when people conspire, it's 18 U.S. Code 371 and 18 U.S. Code 1031. It's not rocket science. This isn't rocket science. It's within the indictments. You can see very clearly. So there's another quote here, and these are the messages as they're finding out, as they're creating this absurd alpha bank scenario where Trump has a private server, and the private server is connected and supposed to be communicating secretly with a Kremlin bank. What is going on is these people are conspiring and they're trying to find anything derogatory, but they're trying to weave a narrative. And they're also utilizing user-created data. So the Central Intelligence Agency and other agencies basically found out that a lot of what they were given by Sussman and Tech Executive One and Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele, all these people, it was either completely fabricated, user-created, not plausible, or it was benign information that really had nothing to do with criminal activity, weaved into a narrative that Trump was a big, problem to national security. So they deceived the United States government, knowingly deceived the United States government. It's within these indictments. They did not give information to the United States government or to the Federal Bureau of Investigation thinking, David Von Kittering! Sorry, HA, but I have nothing but my little drum to drum upon on this auspicious occasion. David, thank you so very much. Starting it off, David, your kind words and your optimism, it's just wonderful. So, David, thank you so very much. You're always so kind, and you're always so energetic and passionate. I just thank you so much for the positivity and the energy. Just thank you, David. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Hi, Caroline. Hello, everybody here. Hello, David. Thank you so very much for starting it off. Greatly appreciated. Greatly great. And you know what? Just your positivity alone, that's the main thing. That's really, really wonderful. Eric H526 is so positive always. I mean, I have the most positive people here. Brenda, everybody here is so positive and wonderful. So I'm very lucky. This is what they are saying. Joe Scarborough and, Maddow and, the Washington Post journalists, and they're not reading the actual indictments. They're not reading the actual quotes within the indictments, the messages. Now, this is not even getting to the classified data. The classified data, however, is backing all of this or bolstering all of this or adding on to the fact that they try to deceive and defraud the American people and the United States government. So here, this is what they were talking about in relation to creating, weaving, spinning a narrative. On or about August 22nd, 2016, researcher 1 emailed the aforementioned recipients expressing continued doubt continued doubt regarding the Alpha Bank allegations that Sussman would later convey to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They knew that they were giving false information. If you know that you're lying under oath, that is perjury. If you don't think you're lying, you don't have an intent, it might not be perjury. That's why that's why like in depositions, well, the best of my knowledge, I don't really remember. I don't recall. And so, but now if you are actually caught deliberately with intent, if you are deliberately trying to deceive, if you are with intent and with a motive trying to deceive or dupe government officials, knowing that Trump did not communicate in a secret manner with some bank, and if you do that, knowing that you are giving lies and deceitful statements, well, you've committed numerous crimes. This is not difficult to understand. Then they say, well, he wasn't indicted for lying about the information. He was indicted for lying to James Baker. Yeah. The Durham probe special counsel has to prove a whole lot to get people on 18 U.S. Code 1030 and 18 U.S. Code 371. He has to prove a whole lot. And part of proving those legal statutes is the following. Here, I'll read this to you. Quote, let's for a moment think of the best case scenario where we are able to show somehow DNS dating. You could see it right there. This is them conspiring. This is them conspiring to basically set up an incoming candidate. Again, it's right there. It's right within these indictments. It's right there, and it's unbelievable too, because we live in a world where information is at our fingertips, and it's basically impossible. It's basically impossible to get these people to actually read any of the information. It's right there. Tig, hello! Thank you so very much, Tig. Thanks for starting it off also. Tig, thank you. I hope all is well. Thank you so very, very much to my super chat. Thank you, Tig. So they go on and they're talking, and what they're talking about is the following. They're saying this, quote, let's for a moment think of the best case scenario where we are able to show somehow that DNS communication existed between Trump and that other country. How do we plan to defend against criticism that this is not spoof traffic we are observing? There is no answer to that. Let's assume again that they are not smart enough to refute our best case scenario. Let's assume that they are not smart enough to refute our best case scenario, meaning that the best case scenario was completely contrived and they were trying to deceive and dupe the United States government. The best case scenario didn't require that much intelligence to refute. Take Executive 1. Do you realize that we will have to expose every trick we have in our bag to make a very weak association? Tig, David, everybody here, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that tell you? In the chat, what does that tell you? 352 people, yes. What does that tell you? Kimberly, hello. What does that tell you? Could you imagine people at your workplace saying, we will have to expose every trick we have in our bag to even make a very weak association pertaining to you and another coworker or you doing something bad at work? They're speaking to Tech Executive 1. You do realize that we will have to expose every trick we have in our bag to even make a weak association. Let's all reflect upon that for a moment. Sorry, folks, but unless we get combined net flows and DNS traffic collected at, connected at critical points between suspect organizations, we cannot technically make any claims that would fly public scrutiny. They are literally, just as why Tech Executive 1 could be indicted tomorrow. And all these attorneys will eventually be indicted, in addition to Sussman. The thing is, they can hide, okay, without indicting Sussman on lying to James Baker, they could actually hide and say, well, you know, we just thought that Trump was a menace to society, and we had to investigate him. And most judges would be okay with that, because most judges are not given this information. Now that you have these indictments, like, so they messed up, they slipped up. Sussman texted James Baker, who was in on it also, but now is, see, this is how it worked. Government officials were in on setting up and framing Trump. Now they're being used as witnesses to go after people paid by Clinton and Democrats. They're all turning on each other. That's why there's no honor among thieves. If you are about to rob a bank with 10 people or 5 people or 2 people, don't think that those 2 people won't do you in somehow, in the worst way. If you're conspiring to commit very, very vile, criminal, corrupt, a corrupt project or activity with other people, they're going to turn on you. This isn't rocket science. It doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take Albert Einstein to realize that if you work with people capable of doing such things, they can do such things to you very easily, and they can turn on you in a court of law. So what happened is Michael Sussman met with James Baker, the bureau attorney, the top legal counsel at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay? The indictment is about Michael Sussman, the attorney at the Clinton-linked law firm that purchased the Steele dossier. That the indictment is that he lied to the legal counsel at the bureau, and he said basically he wasn't being paid by Clinton or the Democrats, Trump's direct political rivals. That's the issue. That's the issue initially. That's the indictment. Now, within the indictment, we find out that he was lying because they were conspiring to give and feed information. They keep saying, well, the lie, they keep saying that it doesn't really matter if he lied to Baker, or it doesn't matter what he lied about, but it does matter what he lied about. That's the thing. It does matter. Of course it matters. That's the issue. The issue is that, Alice, hello, thank you. The issue is that he lied for a reason. Why do people lie? They lie because they don't want to. They're not telling you the truth for a specific purpose, to hide the truth from you, because if you knew the truth, you'd act differently. That's why he did not tell Baker at the bureau. He's not going to call up Baker in a text message and say, oh, by the way, I have a whole bunch of lies about Trump. You think maybe I can feed this information? You think maybe I can feed this information to the United States government and maybe get everybody in trouble? That's why he did not know. They didn't. James Baker wanted to be given information. Michigan Grandma, hello! Thank you for your super thanks also, Michigan Grandma. It's so kind of you during the uploads. Thank you. Why do you think that Michael Sussman didn't tell James Baker that he was being paid by the Clinton campaign? Because then it would implicate government officials. So he's not going to go ahead and meet an attorney at the bureau saying, oh, by the way, I'm going to give you information on Trump, but the information on Trump that I'm going to give you is not only paid for by Clinton, but it's also fabricated and user-created and a bunch of nonsense that we conjured up. And the interesting thing, what they do is the following. They say, when they talk about Trump-Russia, they say, well, we had to investigate. There was so much suspicion. They failed to mention that they created the suspicion. So, if you lose your briefcase, or whatever, if you lose your briefcase, and you plant a false narrative that your neighbor stole your briefcase, then you investigate the allegations based on the narrative you helped start, you're acting in a very corrupt manner. When they say that, well, we had to investigate because we didn't know if Trump was installed by another country. We had no clue he could have been installed by another country. They created that initial myth. Once the initial myth was created, it then took on a life of its own. It's not like it took on a life of its own. So they then had to go ahead and they had to investigate and see if Trump had a secret server communication and if he was really, if George Papadopoulos was given information from Joseph Massoud and if Michael Flynn was in on it also because the Steele dossier said he was. The people who investigated Trump are now either fired or being investigated themselves. Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Page, Kleinsmith, all of these people have been fired or let go or left. James Baker's no longer there. They've all left. The entire planet knows. Everyone knows that they set up and framed Trump. Not one person doesn't believe this, even Democrats. But see, what Democrats do, or what media does, is they say, well, you can't prove Clinton had servers to hide information. It's like, well, that's what the servers are for. And I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024, or Clinton DeSantis. Who here loves DeSantis? I love Trump because I want record low unemployment, record low black and Latino unemployment, Doha agreement that Biden botched, but thank God we're out of there. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. That's Biden's fault. Mashed potato brains. Biden botched the Doha agreement. Okay? But the Doha agreement, we had Trump allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, made the funding permanent. He signed an executive order, Trump, on college campuses combating anti-Semitism. The tariffs against China were actually a very good short-term tactic for a long-term strategy that we could never implement now because the economy's about to crash. Stephen, Democrats oftentimes are apoplectic when talking about Trump. We had Abraham Accords, first president stepped foot in North Korea. I love Trump. Great president. In fact, when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, and before I became a supporter of Trump, I wanted all the things that Trump presided over. Record low unemployment, growth, GDP growth, real wages were up, and we had inflation at 2%. We had gas prices of less than $3. Okay, he's a great president. But DeSantis is fantastic. And the reason he's fantastic is because he's able to communicate a little bit better than Trump. He's able to communicate a little bit better. Do you agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, that DeSantis could actually be even more viable than Donald Trump? Who's fantastic. But do you think if Trump decides not to run, which I don't think I think he'll run. Also, a case could be made that DeSantis should be on the scene a little longer before running. I don't know. I think that DeSantis is fantastic. I just think that there are too many people who believe lies about Trump. And there are too few people who believe the actual truth about a whole bunch of Democrats. I find Ron DeSantis fascinating in that he is able to, in a very effective manner, refute any of the absurd arguments leveled his way by media and Democrats. Democrats always overextend themselves. They always make these absurd leaps of logic. And with with Trump, it was he fought back, but you know what? DeSantis has some clear advantages. But anyway, so you can't go ahead and utilize lies. And you can't, I mean, it's right here. It's right here. How do we defend against criticism? So they don't have anything. You do realize we'll have to expose every trick we have in our bag to even make a very weak association. We cannot technically make any claims that would fly public scrutiny. I mean, they're saying it right there, ladies and gentlemen. They're saying it right there. They can't make any claims that would fly public scrutiny. Okay? The reason is because the claims were fabricated. It's right. These are the messages. Trip Wilson! Thanks for sharing this important info. Trip, thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated, Trip. Trip Wilson, thank you so much. Greatly. Great profile also. Greatly appreciated, Trip. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. I hope you're having a great evening. Thank you. Thank you so much, Trip Wilson. If you look at it says we cannot technically make any claims that would fly public scrutiny. It's right there. And so, and this is actually one of the most glaring admissions. They're telling, if he wanted to use 18 U.S. Code 371 or 18 U.S. Code 1031, these are statutes that talk about if you're engaged in trying to defraud, engage in a fraud, trying to deceive. So that's why this indictment is so important. Each of these indictments are going to lead to other indictments. And each of the government officials, like Kevin Kleinsmith, the first person indicted was a government official. And so they said, well, he got a slap on the wrist. But the other two, Danchenko and Sussman, aren't. They are facing prison time. They're facing prison time. And they don't have the luxury of being a bureau official. And their indictments are far more detailed than Kleinsmith's was. Okay? Trip, thank you so very much again. To my super chat, thank you so much. I appreciate your help so much. Thank you. The only thing that drives this, does this make sense to you in the chat, everybody here? 500 people, 512 people, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing that drives us at this point is that we just do not like Trump. Figglesnorp! Figglesnorp T-Duck, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated, Figglesnorp T-Duck. One of the great names in this channel's history, ladies and gentlemen. One of the great names in this channel's history, I have to say. Figglesnorp T-Duck. One of the great names in the history of this channel. Almost at 200,000 subs. Figglesnorp, thank you. One of the great names in this channel's history. I can't thank you enough for your support. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Figglesnorp T-Duck. Thank you. 537 viewers, everybody. Thank you, Figglesnorp. As always, thank you so very much. Very kind of you. Trip, thank you again. Figglesnorp, everybody here. Thank you again, Figglesnorp T-Duck. So kind of you. So generous. Thank you. Does this make sense, everybody? Trip, Figglesnorp, everybody here. David, Rob, everybody here. Michigan Grandma. Does this make sense to you? The only thing that drives us to this point is that we do not like Trump. This will not fly in the eyes of public scrutiny. Yes, unfortunately, it will. Even they were expecting more of the U.S. public. Do you understand? Even the conspirators were When you have wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats, they're very highly educated, they're wonderful people. They're the type of people who will say that Trump is very mean, while at the same time trying to disparage and demean and marginalize and silence any opposition, which is why they're so petrified Elon Musk now owns Twitter. But even they, Figglesnorp, Tripp, everyone here, even they expected more from the average American, or at least from half the country. Isn't that bizarre? Isn't that bizarre? Brenda Taylor, thank you so much. Thank you for being a member of this channel, Brenda. So kind of you, and thank you so very, very much, Brenda. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. So kind of you. I hope all is well. I like the emoji. Brenda, thank you so much. Figglesnorp, Tripp, Brenda, everybody here. The only thing that drives us at this point is that we do not like Trump. They're admitting they have nothing on Trump, and they're just funneling lies. This will not fly in the eyes of public scrutiny. Folks, I'm afraid we have tunnel vision. Time to regroup. They are literally giving the foundation of 18 U.S. Code 371 and 18 U.S. Code 1031. Those are two legal statutes. Two legal statutes. Brenda, Figglesnorp, Tripp, everybody here. Those are two legal statutes that these people could be indicted on immediately. But, have you ever seen, and Tig, thank you, and David, thank you. As always, Tig and David, thank you. Have you ever seen, a cat play with a mouse? Before, the cat eats the mouse? And so that's what the Durham probe is doing. He doesn't need to indict all of these people immediately. He can just go ahead. Every time Sussman's defense team, every time the defense team says, no, you can't add that into the record, Durham proves that, oh yes, by the way, not only can we add that into the record, but here's some new information. Here's some new information. And then they're on. So, for example, Sussman, what the defense team did was the following. They said, well, we were not clients of Madam Secretary and the Democratic Party. We were not doing legal work. We were not doing any work on their behalf. Then the DNC, Fusion GPS, the Clinton campaign said, oh, we're not going to give Durham information because it's protected by attorney-client privilege because Sussman was our attorney. Okay? So every single time they try to prevent, it's just this, look, when you lie and you're obviously trying to deceive the government, you probably shouldn't email and conspire through text messages and emails. You probably shouldn't say, oh, we don't have much on Trump, but you know what? We should just try to create something that's actually realistic. Signed, people who are working to get Trump investigated and indicted eventually or whatever in their minds. By the way, everybody, 561 people on this live stream. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel, people. It's unfortunately going down. If you have money in the market and you're about to retire, you have no business being in the stock market right now. If you are up, it doesn't matter if the market goes up 2,000-3,000 points again. The whole thing is going to tank. The whole thing is going to tank. And hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. So, it's just, it we're heading towards a pretty devastating financial crisis. And it's unfortunate. You can't, the same maniacs, they Trump rush at everything. That's why, like, they won't have Twitter, so they'll have, like, a Homeland Information Bureau, which is hilarious because then if Trump, hopefully when Trump or DeSantis wins the Oval Office, then what are they going to do? Then are they still going to care about, CDs are okay. CDs, like, unless you need liquidity immediately. But, anything that could go down 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% will go down 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%. That's why Elon Musk bought Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to make money. Like Elon Musk, Bezos, all these people, Gates, Zuckerberg, they're good. Elon Musk he's not a monopolist, but he's a visionary. And that's the interesting thing. Like, you can look at, like, the difference between Musk and other billionaires. Like, he's more of a visionary. That's why he thinks outside of the box. He wants to, colonize other planets. He's not really worried about. He's one of the few, billionaires that isn't really focused on making as much money and acquiring as much wealth as possible. I think that actually comes as a byproduct, or, one of the, a byproduct of his ideas. So, Finkel thank you again. Brenda, Tripp, everybody here, thank you. Tig, David, thank you. But, the people who spread the most dis or mis type of information, and I speak in that bizarre, peculiar manner because of the wonderful robotic math equations that protect us from words. If you are complaining about mis or dis type of information, what you're saying is you don't like opinions that refute your own opinions. You don't like views that could serve as a rebuttal to your views. And I think that slowly, like, Elon Musk knew that they could have found a Musk dossier. They could have written a Musk dossier, just like they did a Steele dossier against Trump. I mean, who in the chat, just humor me for a second. Do you think that Democrats aren't above writing an Elon Musk dossier? Eric, Brenda, Figglesnorp, Tripp, Tig, David, everybody here. Do you think that they're not? Do you think that these people are even capable of writing an Elon Musk dossier? Don't you think that's possible? Don't you think he understands that? Don't you think that he knows that Twitter is a forum where there's only dis or mis type of information? Or there's a lot of it, like it's a lie by omission. If you can lie, exactly. Be at peace, exactly. If you can lie by omission, the greatest lies are lies by omission. Right? The greatest lies are lies by omission. Because an overt lie, you can actually pretty much find it to be, you could find it to be, false or, absurd right away. But a lie by omission breeds suspicion. Jean-Louis! Censored. That said, keep it up. Jean-Louis! Thank you, Jean-Louis. Thank you so very much. Jean-Louis, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope all is well. Brenda and Figglesnorp, thank you again. Generosity, thank you. Trip, thank you. Don't you think a lie by omission? So, like, when CNN reports on a story, they might not be lying to you, but they're lying by omission. They might be telling you maybe 30% of the story, hoping that the 70% you don't know about, or the 50% you don't know about, or the 40% you don't know about will lead to emotions that they can utilize for their own political purposes. This isn't rocket science, very simple. When they reported on Trump, or they reported on any young person that didn't fit the narrative, okay, it could be the young man who sued the Washington Post, or the young man in Kenosha, in Wisconsin. If they don't tell you the whole story, exactly. If they don't tell you the whole story, and they give you part of the story, they can then manipulate your emotions. That's what they're after. They're after manipulating your emotions. They cannot tell, it is 2022. All this took place in 2016. It's 6 years. And by the way, there is no statute of limitations for the things they did, or it's more than 5 years. But when they say the thing that drives us at this point is that we do not like Trump, this will not fly in the eye of public scrutiny, they know that they're giving lies to the United States government. Glorified G, hello. They know they're giving lies to the United States government, but people within the government were all too willing to accept anything. They wanted a pretext. They wanted a reason. They wanted a reason to investigate Trump. It's not rocket science. This is like, everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. And really what this is about, like the Homeland, Ministry of Info, the meltdown regarding Musk and Twitter, Trump possibly working with the Kremlin, which is what they still believe, even though all the evidence shows he didn't. What they want is to manipulate emotion. If this, you see this in like 8th grade. You see people being very cruel in like 7th or 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade or whatever, even 5th grade. You see this. Kids have a better understanding of this type of manipulation, unfortunately. You see all of this stuff. Like, this person says something bad about you. He did or she did? What? And then you confront the person. No, I didn't say anything. What are you talking? Well, there's suspicion there. There's suspicion. And what Democrats do also is they intimidate. They intimidate. So suddenly you can only think certain things, but you can't say them out loud. Or you can say them. You can say them, but they have a very well-oiled public relations machine. And the public relations machine is... they're going after Tucker Carlson. Okay, here's an example. They're going after Fox News, the New York Times is. New York Times only pumps out information detrimental to the Trump and Republicans and beneficial to the Democratic Party. That's all they do. It's a DNC newsletter like the Washington Post. And CNN and MSNBC are like basically cable stations devoted to one political party. This is all they do. Then they actually, this is the template. Jean-Louis, by the way, this by Mahai Pasipa is a book with a real definition of the word and doctrine. Okay, I'll look that up. This info. Thank you. Jean-Louis Blackburn, thank you. Thank you, Jean-Louis. Thank you. When they focus on when they focus on dis or mis type of information, okay, what they're actually doing is they're trying to intimidate and bully and silence any opposition because the ideas they have do not resonate. So their policies that they're so proud of have led to like record highs in inflation, GDP contracting, another quarter of negative growth. We're in a recession, technically a recession. But what they want to do is that they know their ideas. When your ideas, and Jean-Louis, thank you, when your ideas cannot actually stand the test of time, when you don't even believe in your ideas, when you cheat Bernie Sanders, okay? When you cheat Bernie Sanders and you don't even have a functioning primary, you blame another country. So it's a battle for emotion that you've won. The information, it's not a battle for information really, because the information even bolsters DeSantis and Trump. And if it's an information battle, the right of center has already won. What they want is they want emotional victory. So when they go after Tucker Carlson at Fox, what they do is the following, okay? Here's what they do. Trip Wilson! You know what's hard to censor? Throat punch. Good night, friends. Trip Wilson! That is hard to censor. Trip, thank you! Trip, thank you so very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful evening, sir. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Trip, everyone here. When they go after Tucker, and they what happens is that the New York Times has this really hilarious hit piece on him. They will repeat, they'll actually edit and slice up things that he said. Then they'll have a whole collage of all the people he doesn't like, or that the people who conspired to work and set up and frame Trump. Trip, thank you again. And what they'll do is the template is the following, as I just remembered what I was saying. The template is the following. Here's the template. Repeat the argument of somebody you don't like. Okay, number one, here's the template of the average hit piece from the New York Post or Washington Post or Daily Beast or whatever. Repeat the argument. Repeat it in a way, though, that you're horrified as a morally superior liberal Democrat. Like you're repeating it for shock value. You're not repeating it to refute the argument. You're repeating it to say you know what he believes? He believes that all of these elites are out to silence you and set up and frame Trump and, make you do things you don't want to do. Then, in the same breath, they say, how dare Elon Musk take over Twitter and allow people to voice their thoughts? Because their thoughts are really mean and bad. And then these are the people who go after authoritarians. That's exactly what an authoritarian does. Democrats worship the intelligence communities, intelligence agencies, who are always wrong, almost always. They want you to be silenced on social media. And they push for interventions with the Lincoln Project. So, how are the authoritarians are not Trump or DeSantis? They're definitely not. Unless you're speaking to very, very, very young people about topics you shouldn't be speaking about. DeSantis has no problem with what you do with your life. You do what you want with your life. Trump doesn't care. This is the funny thing. There was a certain point when Democrats or liberal ideology made sense. Maybe 20, 30 years ago. In certain topics, it made sense. Now, it doesn't make sense because you don't have the same conservatives. You have conservatives who are more libertarian. They don't care. They don't really care what you do with your life. You do whatever you want, really, as long as you don't break the law. Just don't break the law. And, if you say horrible things, you'll be blocked, and that's it. Simply block the person. But we have laws protecting people from harmful speech. But now you have this nonsense where this type of information is harming people's lives. You can't prove that. because you move the goalposts all the time on every topic. Oh, inflation is temporary. Oh, really? You were wrong about that. How many lives did you hurt? How many pocketbooks did you hurt with that? When their prognostications or predictions, or when their analysis proves to be miserably failed and wrong, it's like, shrug shoulders, no big deal. But God forbid, like you need a 70s rocker, a 70s folk hero or rocker or whatever, to say that, oh my God, this podcast, Joe Rogan, oh my God, you can't listen to him because his information is harming people. Well, can you prove that in a court of law? No, but I've been told that, so we'll roll with it. They can't debate. Their debate is, it always devolves into an emotional rant. It's always like when they talk about systemic, like this is, okay, I was on the left my whole life. I understand the matrix. Here's how you completely break down the matrix pertaining to systemic injustices, which I do believe exist, but interestingly enough, I think that Democrats preside over them the most, and Democrats cause these systemic injustices, which is what they don't want to really talk about. But here, when you hear a left-leaning pundit or a person on MSNBC or CNN talk about systemic issues, systemic injustices, supremacy, all of these things, you simply then ask what cities, counties, and states have the most systemic issues, and end the conversation, because they will not answer that. They either don't know. They either don't know. So they either don't know which cities, because they have no clue, because to them it's very broad and ambiguous, this kind of like esoteric type of like, their whole thing is that you have to just give in to their ideology and philosophy without asking any specific questions. They will not tell you, for example, they'll preach and pontificate about bigotry, and, well, what cities have the biggest problems with that? Are they speaking about Rikers Island in New York? Are they speaking about wealth inequality in San Francisco? Where are the systemic issues? And they say, well, communities are suffering from systemic issues pertaining to American history. Okay, so where on the map of the United States of America you will find the greatest systemic issues are presided over and caused by, you guessed it, Democrats. Go to any place you could put on the map. If there's systemic poverty, economic injustices, any issues pertaining to law enforcement, and I support law enforcement greatly, but any issue where you have like a person not doing his or her job, it's almost certainly going to be a major Democratic city. So they won't give you an actual specific, like they won't give you a discussion where geography is at play, because geography points to Democrats. And that's why when Biden says you aren't who you are if you don't vote for him, you ain't, I'm not going to, just out of respect, I'm not even going to repeat the despicable thing that Biden said, which was worse than anything Trump said. But you ask, where are the systemic issues? They're in Democratic-run areas of the country. Democrats use the suffering of people and the suffering of people within U.S. history. They've done it in the history of my culture. They do it all the time. They label people in 1930s and 1940s Germans. They look at, they say, oh, you're an authoritarian, but they're the ones who exhibit those behaviors more so than anyone else, those characteristics. They preside over the greatest systemic injustices, inequalities, both economic, and if you say, well, U.S. history, it's like you're moving away from the political party causing all of these problems. We didn't have the poverty, the homelessness, the crime that we had under Trump. It's worse, much worse now. Much worse. So what better way than to blame U.S. history? And then to say, well, we stand for a new America, justice. It's like, well, no, you're actually presiding and causing. When they pushed to end economic activity, they caused all of these problems. You know, we were in a situation where the country was growing economically, but the media, intelligence operatives, Hollywood melted down every single day. So the average American who really wasn't into politics is seeing the sky fall, and every news, like every night on the news, the sky was falling. So people were saying, okay, well, wow, maybe things are really bad. When in reality, things were actually good for the country. Now things are really bad, and they're trying their best to suppress any emotion. That's the issue here. That's what's going on here. That's the problem. The problem is that this is all a battle for emotion. Propaganda is not information, it's emotion, it's feelings, it's contempt, disdain, frustration, anger. They claim that Trump tried to evoke those feelings or tried to harness those feelings, but he really didn't. You know, if a system isn't working, it's only natural for the citizens of any country to want the system to change. The way they spin it is, you're like they say, well, Fox News is selling doubt. Yeah. If you are losing your 401k and you're going to the supermarket and it's $240 every time you go, or $150, $160 every time you go, yeah, of course there's doubt. Jacob Reed! Comment on debt. Poo in the bed. I enjoy your voices and sarcasm. You keep me informed on all of this. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. Johnny Depp. Love Johnny Depp. And I love the fact that, I think that he is, well, from limited understanding I have of the trial, I think that he's proving to the world that the person who accused him is perhaps the person who committed vile and despicable acts against him. Maybe he was definitely not the perpetrator and more the victim. So, Jacob, thank you. The Johnny Depp thing's fantastic. Nobody has ever looked better. At first, because you have all these talking heads on the, oh yeah, Johnny Depp looks really bad. It's like, no, actually, in the court of public opinion, he looks great. In the court of public opinion, he doesn't really, like, you can see, like, there are Hollywood actors who were really, like, okay, Alec Baldwin, for example. Two different, like, hey, you take Alec Baldwin and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, you can see, is actually a good human being. Alec Baldwin, you can see, is very manipulative, maybe a good, like, parent, good person to people he cares about, but he ended someone's life with a firearm and then goes after a firearms organization, which is really hilarious. I mean, the man has no shame in his game. So Alec Baldwin is like, armor isn't even in the church. 2, 3, 4 feet from the cinematographer, ends her life, then blames her for telling him to point in her direction. I mean, you can't get more like despicable than that, manipulative. Okay, but then you have Johnny Depp, who, I mean, his text messages, Jacob, I don't know if you've heard of the text messages, but he seems like a much, again, I don't know, I've only seen certain things in passing, I don't know everything, but Johnny Depp seems like an infinitely better person than the individual that he's suing, I believe. So, you gotta watch out. Like, the biggest lesson in life is watch out who you fall in love with. Watch out who you have a romantic relationship with. You could be, Johnny Depp. You could be, he's like one of the great. There's not many actors. And one thing I like about Johnny Depp is that whether he liked or disliked Trump, he didn't make it a thing. Like, he's able to just allow you to enjoy his films without being so political. Plus, he's a fantastic actor, and he's humble, and he's hilarious, and he has a certain type of very an amusing charisma. You could see, you could just see. I was actually listening to him talk about his upbringing and things he had to go through. So it's interesting. The individual that he is in the court battle with does not look good. My God Almighty, does not look good. A rattlesnake looks better, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know everything that transpired. So, but Johnny Depp looks like a good, decent human being. And I don't know. It's interesting. Jacob, thank you. It's kind of. It's interesting. It's like in that world, everyone's dating each other. Why would you want that? Why would you want to be in a social circle where everyone dates each other? Who wants that? Why would you want that? But I guess that's the world that, people in certain industries live within. You definitely don't want to be with dysfunctional people. You definitely don't want to be in life with people who've had it's one thing to have a tough life, and that's fine, and to go and to persevere, and to if you have a tough life and you persevere and you don't let it affect your future, that's beautiful. That should be commended. That is something that is a beautiful, amazing thing. But if you have a tough life and you take it out on people, and you take it out on somebody who's had a better life than you, that's no good. That's no good. Also, anyway, there's a lot of weird things that I've heard within that trial here and there, so I haven't heard the whole trial, Vicky, I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that. But see, again, Johnny Depp's probably a million times better of a human being or a person than most people in Hollywood. And I've seen it, you've seen, on YouTube, there's, different videos of him just interacting with people and, treating people like, normal human beings. That's an interesting one. Jacob, thank you. That's an interesting one. It'll be interesting if, hopefully, Trump comes back. Jacob! Johnny versus Amber. I actually don't really. Hold on, let me look that up. Jacob, thank you. I don't really. Hold on, let me look up because I didn't really get the. I don't. Okay, hold on one second. Oh. Employees of Amber Heard clan putting. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. See, you can't. See, that's not a practical joke right there. That's just wrong. That's wrong. That's something Hunter would do. Or might enjoy. Oh no, that's wrong. Breaking. Heard admits to turd allegations. News at 5. I'm actually reading this article. This is like not good. This is like a really bad thing, you know. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, even fertilizer is more expensive, so. Oh my god. Oh my god. How is that a joke? How do you, like, why would you do that to somebody? Jacob! Thank you! You're helping me get informed on this. This is like so bizarre. And it's not, this is like, that's disingenuous. It wasn't a practical joke. It was a vicious, like, way of trying to punish somebody. The old poop punishment. Oh my god. Johnny said that the pooping incident was the final straw in their marriage. No, I think it would definitely be. My God. Oh, Lord. Wow. Freedom autopsy report. Not a bad idea. If it was allowed, I might do that. Actually, I don't know if I'd be allowed to do that. Just don't know, but I'd be allowed. So. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to end it on a high note. Nothing better than a Amber Heard, present story. Guns away, hello. Jacob, thank you so very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to my super chat. Figgle Snorp, everyone here, thank you so very, very. Figgle Snorp, thank you again. Everybody here, thank you, Jacob. Everyone here, Trip, everyone here. Jean-Louis, everybody, thank you so very much. Brenda, have a great evening. I will be back in 2 hours before midnight. I'll have an upload on this channel. I'll also have... Jessica, thank you. I'll also have a segment on the stock market crash channel. So, Wallace, thank you. So check out the stock market crash channel. That'll be always in the pinned comment. And another segment on this channel. I always have a segment on this channel about 11:58, 11:50, 11:45 p.m. Pacific before midnight hits. And to my viewers in other countries, thank you so very much for watching those segments. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening. God bless. Thank you so much to my super chat. I can't thank you enough. I will see you tomorrow, everybody.